So look, this is a piece of property with lots of challenges.
When former state lawmaker Steve Peace strolls through the Qualcomm Stadium parking lot, he sees possibilities.
As the reclamation of the river expands up this way and then melds into the recreational, simple, passive sports, activities, soccer fields, this sort of thing, and we get rid of all this asphalt. We make that go away.
Peace says this 160-acre plot of land would become a university-owned park if the Qualcomm Stadium site was ever redeveloped.
Taking this single last large, huge swath of property and preventing a replication of the mistakes that you see to the west. We can go on this trolley and look down the west and see the overdevelopment. You can see the traffic impact.
The 70-plus page ballot Measure D sets guidelines for developing the property in Mission Valley for expanding the downtown convention center, and it allows for the construction of a sports stadium either downtown or in Mission Valley.
The fundamental core value of Measure D is it increases the city council's bargaining position, the mayor's bargaining position, and protects the taxpayer by setting strict spending limits. Strictly saying you cannot spend public money on a professional football or professional sport facility of any kind.
Peace says Measure D allows for specific development, but the projects themselves are not required. The only guarantee if the measure passes is a hike in the transient occupancy tax to 15.5%. That money gets sent to the general fund where it can pay for city needs.
If nothing happens other than the rate gets set at a rational market rate that makes sense and treats the public more fairly, that's a good result and we can live with that.
Measure D was put together by local attorney Corey Briggs. He's a major financial backer, as is JMI Realty.
Yes on D will save Qualcomm for open space.
Both have loaned the campaign money, which has led to a website and some web advertising.
So I have very mixed emotions about it because I want to see some of these questions answered.
Michael Stepner teaches at the New School of Architecture in downtown San Diego. His background is in city planning. Stepner says Measure D addresses some long-running issues in San Diego, and he likes the potential.
But at the same time, I want to see the questions answered in not necessarily a ballot box measure, but something that is in context with a lot of other things that are going on.
Stepner's indecision about Measure D is not shared by tourism marketing officials who don't like the proposal. Individual hotels would have to opt in to fund tourism marketing, and smaller hotels would carry a lighter burden. Measure D is also getting pushback from the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. President Haney Hong says the measure is incredibly complex.
And if you were to change any aspects of it, because this is a ballot initiative, to change anything would require them to go back to the ballot box.
Hong says the taxpayer protections are welcome, but he says a sweeping plan like this really demands more public input. As is, Measure D eliminates flexibility if future city leaders decide to take a different course.
But I think one thing is for certain is that should it pass, there's very likely to be legal disputes around this, which then the taxpayers would be responsible for covering.
There are also questions about how many votes the measure needs to pass. Some argue its tax hike requires 2/3 support. Backers say the increase is for the general fund, so only a simple majority is required. Either way, voters need to do some work to understand the measure. San Diego State University professor Stephen Goggins says that's a problem at the ballot box.
And the general tendency of people then is to check no, that they don't want to agree with things that they are aren't fully sure of. And so there's definitely kind of a tendency towards those breaking towards unsure to vote no.
And if that's not confusing enough, there's the matter of Measure C. It also calls for an increase in the tourist tax to fund a stadium convention center complex downtown. If both measures are approved by voters, the one with the most yes votes goes into effect. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.